Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Marie-Annalise and I teach people how to change their life by changing their thoughts. And today I'm going to be talking about giving my 69-year-old dad DMT for the very first time, what he thought of it and what sort of after effect that he's had. But before I get into it, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who gives me a thumbs up, everybody who comments, who shares, who subscribes. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really does help other people to find my channel, and then they too can change their life by changing their thoughts. Right, so let's jump straight into it. My dad, 69 years old. He turned 70 in November. He was born in 1950 and I gave him DMT. Well, I told him about it. He requested it, so I gave him some. But I'm so happy that I've done it for him. So basically I was talking to him about some esoteric subjects that I wasn't really sure how he was going to react to it. I thought that he might just be like, yeah, whatever, bullshit. And I was talking to him like the Great Awakening's happening, people on Earth are waking up, they're coming more in tune with their inner guidance system, whatever you choose to call it, soul, spirit, God, the universe, as I like to call it, whatever you like to call this higher power. It's waking up within us, and if you're watching this video, then likely you're one of them people who hear that information and something deep down within you might be thinking, oh, this sounds a bit weird, but deep down within you, something about it resonates, and you know, like, yeah, do you know what? Yeah, this is happening. This is happening to me. I'm waking up. I'm going through a massive change. I'm starting to notice things in my life that are actually a bit off. Beliefs and thoughts, traditions and stuff that I've had my whole entire life that now I'm suddenly realising, like, fucking daft that, innit? Well, why have I done things that way my whole life? And you start waking up and you start changing your mindset to be more healthy, and that's what's happening right now on Earth. There's a raise in consciousness, and I was talking to my dad about this and it was like totally resonating with him. He started asking me lots of questions about afterlife, and I was just like telling him everything, all the stuff that I talk about on this channel about rewiring your brain, how from being born, being in the womb until the age of 7, your brain is in theta brainwave. That's the same brainwave as when you're being hypnotized. Everything that you're learning, everything that you're experiencing, everything is logged in the brain. You're being hypnotized, and then boom, that's just it. That's your life going forwards. That's however you perceive that as a child, at whatever age you are. That's how it's logged into your brain. So there could be things now that are causing you problems. You might be going through patterns and reliving certain negative traits over and over and think, why is this happening? It could be because when you were 3 years old, you experienced something that now you'd think like, how silly, but when you were a kid, it was massive to you, and that's it. It's logged into your brain. It's part of your subconscious programming that is on autopilot, constantly repeating over and over. So you've got to go back and you've got to rewrite those, and when you do that, I've got a cut on my hand, and my hand started stinging. I thought, what's wrong with that? And I've just noticed I've got 2 cuts on my hand, and I literally don't know how I've done it. But let's get back to this. So yes, I was telling my dad about that, and I was saying when you have DMT, it helps you to rewrite your brain faster, because those neurological pathways that are set into your brain that are like really deep and really strong, because the more that you think about the same thing over and over, the deep that neurological pathway gets, so the harder it is to rewrite it. But when you have DMT and other types of psychedelics, it resets your brainwaves so that it's easier to rewrite those dodgy beliefs. That's why people don't have addictions and stuff anymore, because they realise, like, it just resets that pathway where you realise that you don't need to have a cigarette anymore. So yeah, so I was telling him it makes it a lot easier, and he was like, well, where can I get it? Because I was telling him it's a natural hormone. You've got it in the brain, in the lungs, in the liver. It's not a drug. It's a natural hormone that we already have within us, but you're just taking it synthetically and you're smoking it. So he was like, where can I get some from? Like, I wish we could get some of this. And I was like, well, I can if you want some. So somebody brought some round for us a little short while later, and then on the evening I gave him it. And one thing that I will point out is what I noticed was it took a lot longer to have an effect on him. So when I do it, it's almost like instant that it kicks in for me. It lasts for about 10 minutes and then like I'm back to reality, and then it's like slowly fades out and back to normal. But with him, it took a lot longer before it started. It lasted a hell of a lot longer, and then like he had the afterglow for a lot longer as well, like the coming back to reality, not the afterglow, like the part when you're half in that world, half out, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm back. So yeah, so all of that lasted a lot longer. For me, I went in, had my trip finished before his had even really like kicked in and started. So like, I don't know whether it's his age or I'm not really sure, but I did notice that difference between him and I. So anyway, he had DMT, and he was just like, wow. He was looking around and he was pointing out and he was telling me the things that he could see, the things that he was experiencing. He could see lots of crosses everywhere, he was saying. He also said that he was saying something about my eyes. There was webs coming out of my eyes. And my friend, he was saying that my friend's head had flames on top of it, and I was trying to encourage him, like, close your eyes, go into your own little world, close your eyes, and he was like, no, because I don't want to miss anything, there's so much going on around it, I want to experience it, I want to feel it. And he was saying that he could hear like buzzing in his ears, and he could see like the energy coming off things, and it just totally blew his mind. And then today I said to him, like, I wish that you'd close your eyes, and he wants to do it again. And he's like, when can I do it again? He said, like, it was the most peculiar thing. He used the word peculiar. He said it was the most peculiar thing that he's ever experienced, but it's totally opened and expanded his mind to realise that there is so much more to life than this here, than this body that we're in. We do have a spirit, we've got soul, whatever you want to call it. I like to say, like, our energetic body, like, we've all got a different word for what we call these different things that we perceive, and he really can perceive that strongly now. And he's like, I want to start meditating, I want to do yoga, I want to get back in touch with my body, I want to like rewrite all these programs. And my dad is somebody who I don't know anything about. I've never met any of his family. I've never, like, I don't know any of his family. I don't know any, like, my aunties, my cousins, like, none of them. Like, all I know is he fucking hates his family. I don't know what's happened, but then he must have started going through a little bit of a healing, and he started mentioning things to me. He told me that when he was 5 years old, he actually drowned in a beck. A 70-year-old woman slid down a muddy bank to pull him out and resuscitated him. And he said that he'll always remember her name, Mrs. Prosser. And for my dad to say something like that, that's actually massive, because I know nothing about my dad, nothing, absolutely nothing. So it's definitely enhanced his awakening that he was already going through, because I do, like, on the side, I do a little bit of tarot here and there for people as well, and he's been asking me to do him readings and stuff more recently, and he has been waking up and he's been coming at the realisation. But once he's done that DMT, it's blasted him wide open. He's now obsessed with Gaia. If you don't know what Gaia is, it's a streaming app that is way better than Netflix. It's got lots of different information on all of this kind of stuff. The new science that isn't out there in the world about how the brain works, epigenetics, ancient aliens, the real history of the world, and now he's obsessed with it. He loves Gaia. And he's just totally on this path of, is dedicated to waking up now. And so I rang him today, because it was literally only last night when he did it. I rang him today and I said, like, how do you feel today? Because I wanted to know, is he experiencing this afterglow that like me and my friends have felt? Like, because it cured my PTSD, my two friends, it's cured their depression, and I wanted to know how he felt. So I just said to him, like, what do you feel like today, like the next day after you've had it? And he's just, and actually, like, so cute, so sweet. He turned around and he just said, do you know what? I feel so happy, and I don't understand, because I've got there's no reason for me to feel happy. And I was like, oh, Dad. I was like, you do have reasons to be happy. And he started listing off these different problems that he had. And I was like, no, forget about them. Use your mind to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. You don't focus on your problems. Whenever you've got a problem, you just think solution, problem, solution, and you find a solution. If you're focusing on the problem, you get more and more and more of the problem. If you focus on the solution, you get the solution. So I was saying to him, like, you do have reason to be happy. And he was like, but that's the thing, I feel happy now for the first time in years. Like, I feel happy, and it really has like a massive effect on him. I think that he started like dropping little things and telling me more things, and I think that he's because he's actually, there is bits and bobs that I do know about him, and he's actually been through a lot. He's had quite a traumatic life, and I think that he's been suffering with depression for decades, and whether he's known it or not, or whether he's even been able to admit it to himself, because he's certainly not admitted it to anybody else, he's coming to the realisation now that he's came out of it, even though he's never really admitted to it before. And he's like, I'm happy for the first time in years, and he just, it's blown his mind open. It feels like a different person. It's just, he's came over to visit me today, and he was like a different person. All he wants to do is learn more and more about all this information. He's like, just tell me more, like what else do you know? Like, he's wide open to learning this sort of esoteric information that, you know, people will say, like, when you first hear this information, it's a bit like, well, that sounds a bit crazy. That causes a bit of cognitive dissonance, doesn't it? And you're a bit like, it's so vastly different to what you've always been programmed and conditioned to believe. It's hard to take on board, and it's a bit like, part of you does resonate with it, and it's like, oh yeah, like, but my soul, like, I feel this in my soul, like I do know it to be true. But you've been conditioned your whole life to believe, like, no, it's not true. So, like, he's waking up to the fact that he is way more powerful than he realises that he is. He's got the power to make himself happy. All you've got to do is change your thoughts, change your beliefs. It'll change your whole life. And it's had a massively, massively, massively profound effect on him. And he's well into his awakening now. It's busting wide open, and he said that he's been into this stuff for actually a while. He said, he didn't say how long. I think he might have said a couple of years, and he said he's been finding this information for the past couple of years. He said, but once he's heard me speaking about it and talking about it, it's really like made him realise, like, oh my god, yeah, this is not just people on the internet talking about it. This is like actual real things. And I've told him about, like, my friends who can lucid dream and some of the experiences that we've had, and it's really made him realise, like, wow, this actually is, like, it's safe for me to actually believe this. And he's got over his cognitive dissonance, and now he totally believes it. He's learning about manifesting, and his mind is just blown. He's just realised that reality is completely different to how he's always been led to believe. We do have these powers. Law of attraction is real. You've just got to learn how to use it properly. So if you do want to learn how to use it properly, make sure you check other videos on my channel that teach you how to manifest, because it will literally change your life. All you've got to do is change your freaking thoughts, change your beliefs, and everything can change for you. The way that the traditions and stuff that you believe to be true, you only believe them to be true because you've been brainwashed your whole entire life. But that's not your fault, because all your teachers, your family, everyone's been brainwashed their entire life. But there is a great awakening on earth happening right now. If this resonates with you and you feel it in your soul, check out some of the rest of my videos. So thank you very, very, very much for tuning in with me today. Namaste.